Radio Hour, the show that brings you unfiltered stories and insight from the Twin Cities real estate world with your hosts, Chris Rooney, broker at RE/MAX Preferred, and Andy Presky, leader of the Preferred Home Team at RE/MAX Advantage Plus.
Hello, hello.
Oh, sorry, I'm just filling out my resume. According to the news, I need a new job.
You're not kidding.
That's
what I was going to say. Can anyone think for themselves nowadays? Or is it all about clicks and links? And I mean, it's just a freaking, it's a joke. I mean, every day has to be some sort of disaster. Otherwise, people can't live. I mean, it's craziness.
Right. Well, and then we all seem to have all these different, things. So, here's what I think is funny. In the old days, there used to be, the old, what was it, the Star? And then it was the Star Tribune. And then it was and you'd all go to the newspaper for your news. And then came TV. And then all of a sudden, everybody would just watch TV for their source of information. Now, you basically can pick whatever non-credible source you want. And because it's in print or it's in front of you and it has graphics, we believe it. It's absolutely amazing the BS that people fall for.
Yeah.
And you go down those rabbit holes where it's like, this is all that machine learning where when they know you click on conspiracy theories, watch out, because here comes the news that you're going to be buried in your bunker in about 20 minutes.
or you have to do your resumes when you're supposed to be on a podcast.
Right.
Well,
I mean, hey, this business is not, I mean, I get it. When the business is booming, that's when our industry just expands like beyond belief because everybody thinks it's easy. And then all of a sudden they realize, oh my gosh, I really don't have a business plan. And then it contracts and they don't have any business and they go out of business. And it's like, for us, I think this is a time where the consumers, when it's slower, get the best agents with the best service because you're getting the best of the best. You're not getting stuck with whoever you clicked on, Zillow, for an example, and whoever shows up, it's 99% of the time a brand new agent that doesn't know how to tie his shoes or her shoes. And, and you're just like at the mercy of whoever they send out.
Yeah. I think it's also agents are trying to do something that they probably don't even think it doesn't work. It's tried and true, and in the past doesn't work. And they keep trying, and they try to redo it just to kind of show that seller or that buyer that, oh my gosh, look at all this work I'm doing. I'm now sending postcards out to the neighborhood you want. Okay, that's great. That works. I'm going to contact every, agent that's ever showed a house in the $400,000 price range. No, you're not. You don't do that. You can't do that. And people are trying it. And it's kind of like, ultimately it's what you put in the MLS and what you're putting out there and reaching, because that MLS shoots everywhere. I mean, it goes to everything that you could possibly want. And so everyone coming in and thinking they have these new little tricks and new little whatevers, that's not what it is. It's thinking about, how am I going to market this to the right person that's going to purchase at this time when there's not a lot of people purchasing? How do we do it? How do we get them? How do we show value? I mean,
agreed.
Hey, we're going to do an interest rate buy down for you. Oh boy, that's that's very inventive of you. It's just, I just think that everyone has gotten just so crazy, and it kind of goes back to the clicks, Yeah. I have to have likes, and I have to love this, and I have to do this, and I have to go click into this one because that's going to tell me that President Trump was the worst president in the history of the world. He's going to bomb Russia, bomb whatever. I mean, or hey, Biden's a loser, whatever it is. It's just so stupid.
I can almost guess which one you'd click on, but that's okay. We'll keep moving.
Yeah, but it's not. But I don't know. I think, to me, I just think that we all need to just kind of take a little breath. And the world's not ending. I don't think it is. It's not ending. We're not going to go. I mean, this market. I mean, just think common sense wise. Okay. Right. I mean, how many houses on the market? How many people are really missing payments? We're going to talk about realtors missing payments, small businesses missing payments, and all that kind of stuff today, and which is kind of reality. But I mean, when you go back to it, and what are you going to do? You're going to pay for your home. You're not going to pay the other things out there that you're supposed to be doing that you're not doing. So yeah, that's going to hurt the economy. But I mean, everyone's mortgage, Andy. How many people? I mean, do you know that has a mortgage other than if they bought a house in the last 6 months that's not at or around 3%?
Right.
Everyone.
I'm not, because I only have like 8 years left on my mortgage, but I left mine at 4.75, and everybody's like, "Oh my God, that's ridiculous. You should refi." And I'm like, by the time I add in the cost of refi, or I do a no cost refi, you're right back to where you were. So it's like, it's great. It blows my mind. There's a mentality of living in the moment versus living in life, right? And it's like, in the big picture of life, you got to learn to pay things off. You should not buy things you can't afford. I mean, it's kind of simple, basic old man, listen to your grandpa or your grandma, right? And they'll tell you this stuff. It's like, I never bought anything I couldn't afford. I always laugh at the grandparents. They're like, "Oh, they used to eat soup and crackers and they drove an old car, and then they died with $7 million in the bank."
Yeah.
Yeah. And but it's like, yeah, go ahead. I was just gonna say it's a mind frame, right? It's they lived within their means, and they always felt safe because they didn't extend themselves. They didn't live beyond their means. They were, not so like worried about the superficial lifestyle that a lot of people subscribe to, of having the new cars and the big fancy houses and the penthouse suite. And they're like, "Hey, we're good people. We take care of our family, and we're secure."
You guys are basically talking about information warfare, so many different things to get your attention, to get clicks and whatnot. So let me ask you, I've been obviously in Thailand almost a week now. I've been talking to the locals, and before this internet came about and all this information, they believed the king was a living divine God, and the country was like totally brainwashed. Even to this day, you can't say anything bad about the king or you go to prison. So I'm not saying anything bad about him, but so where do you think the balance is then? I mean, do you want to be underneath this when some guy says, go this way and there's only this sort of news, or do you want all these crazy news outlets that you got to find the truth yourself?
Right. That's how you control people, information, right? Think about that. If the only information you ever get is that the king is actually a god, you probably grew up thinking that they're a god. Just like, you've got North Korea and you've got that Kim Jong Ding Dong or whatever his name is. And I say that jokingly because I think he's a ding dong. But his situation is where they think he doesn't poop. He's a unicorn and a magic wizard. And it's like, I'm like, come on, guys. I don't care how, even growing up, you even grow up with certain religions and you start going, well, is this really real? Or is this, is this story I'm reading real? Is this, and so you question things. But when you don't have any other information, then, hey, the sun comes up and the sun goes down. It's what you live with, right?
Yeah. Knowledge is power. There's no question about that.
Well, tell us a little bit now that you teased us. How is the scenery there?
It's amazing. And I was getting full meals with like a beer for $2. Very cheap, way cheaper than, I'd say cheaper than Brazil for sure. Yeah. And it's safe too, but when I say the city I'm in is like Las Vegas with no filter, it's like devil's paradise. It is crazy. Like it's almost too much. Like I stay away from the crazy area.
Oh my! It must be really crazy then.
Yeah.
If you stay away. Oh
you can hear Chris booking a ticket as we speak. I should come visit.
I've seen things here I never thought I'd see. So it's beautiful. Like there's so many beaches, and again, cost of living is amazing, and the people are super nice, so friendly and safe.
Oh, cool. Well, that's good. We'd like you to see post some pictures here and there, right?
Of course.
Us old guys living vicariously through you.
Let's hit on these stats though, because they are worrisome. We'll get into the first one. The 37% of real estate agents haven't paid their rent, but we got to get a little commercial here.
That's the normal market. Next month I got a commission. I swear, boss.
Let's do a little background on that, though. I mean, I don't know if most people know, but typically realtors pay to work. And so they pay to have a broker, which affords them higher commissions, but they usually have to pay some sort of rent, whether it's for the office, copier machine, even the ability to work there. And this is saying that 37% of the real estate agents in the U.S. couldn't afford to pay their rent in October. not the company couldn't pay their rent, but that the agent was unable to pay their rent. And a third of the people, this is one of those examples to me that is they can't afford, there's certain things they can't afford, and we'll just let that kind of go. Because the broker is going to end up getting it anyways. Once they sell a house, they're going to get their money.
Right.
But I'd be curious to see what the accounts receivable are for agents on past rent, regardless.
And did you see that article? If you read it, would kind of went past us quick, but that was only a 10% increase from September.
Yeah.
So that's only like 3.7% more from September of agents. So it's like notoriously when the market slows down, it started slowing down in June, and they probably had a couple months of reserves, and they were spending every dollar they had extra on to try to generate leads, buying leads off the internet, Zillow, whatever. So again, I'm just going to reemphasize this. If you're a consumer watching this and you go online, you are basically entering into a Shark Tank, and you are clicking away and trying to get information. That information then is all absorbed, recorded. You're put on, there's all kinds of ways that we can buy that information as an agent if you want to. And then you get sold off to some team that wants to pay the most money for that, quote, internet lead and that information. So what ends up happening is all of a sudden you're going to get a click and you book a showing, and that showing, like, again, most teams that have people running internet leads, generally, not always, but generally they're newer because they don't have any other existing business. So they'll run internet leads, quote, appointments that are booked online. And so you're not getting that experienced agent again, but it's anyway.
Yeah. I think it's interesting. I know the next one that we have is not just agents, but it's small restaurant businesses, over nearly half of them couldn't pay their rent in October. But I mean, I don't know, Andy, if you've got
is that nationwide?
Yeah. I don't know if you have been, just again, jumped by 7%, but I mean, that's real. But I don't know if you've gone out for lunch lately and brought someone else. I mean, it's not 25 or 30 bucks anymore. It's 50.
Yeah.
I mean, prices have just gotten insane.
You can't even go to Arby's anymore for under 20 bucks for lunch.
Really?
It is insane. And that's the problem that you're running into, is that a lot of my clients that are entrepreneurs that have interests in restaurants and whatever, they're all saying that their food costs are out of control.
Yeah. Well, Andy, 4 roast beefs for lunch is a lot. I mean, 4 roast beef sandwiches.
I don't remember what the Big Montana, I think, is the one that resembles us. It's like this. Oh my God. It is, hey, if you don't mind getting a little chubby, what a great sandwich. I mean, it is just amazing.
Well, I think what's interesting too, I see a lot of this is when things are kind of rough and it's not looking that great. I think that's when a lot of people spend money. They're trying to feel good about themselves. I know in my own case, I look at myself and I'm like, I usually never spend money as I'm making. I mean, I'm always kind of going and just kind of keep going. And then all of a sudden it slows down a little and it's like, oh, let's go spend some money, because it's like, oh, that'll make me feel a little better. And we'll kind of move on. But I think
what was it during the Great Depression? They talked about it was steakhouses and liquor stores did just fine, and people still would treat themselves when they wanted to go out. They'd only go out for the best because they can eat crap at home. But I think nowadays a lot of people just look at it as being a service. Like I order whatever app and they bring my food to my house and it's cold and soggy and they still eat it and they still pay $50, to get it. It's just, we're different. It's like, I don't know. I think COVID was one of the best things that, for home cooking and understanding, hey, we can do stuff ourselves. A lot of people learned how to cook during COVID. And if that was a positive thing to come out of there, right?
You got to hang with your family more. That was one good thing. Yep. And the other good thing is that you don't have closings with buyers and sellers in the same room anymore. Yeah. Other than that, COVID was a bunch of crap.
Yeah. Scam.
So that's what I say. So.
Oh, that's funny.
How do you really feel today? Oh, can we even say that? Oh my God, that's right. We can't say that on.
No, we can't say we don't believe in the King of America. Wait a minute. Or we get killed?
Okay. Hey, let's get into the next one though. We forgot to do Andy's commercial last week, so we'll throw this on there. Andy, do you want to do it or?
Go ahead. I'm good.
Chris?
Not today. I'm a little too feisty today.
Well, they said I could have 30 seconds on the show for a quick ad. Andy Prasky, Remax Advantage Plus, Andy@Prasky.com if you want to email us. Here's the thing, 22 years in the business, over 1,400 sales. I'd like to help you with your real estate needs. If that's buying, if that's selling, if that's building, whatever it is, give us a call, send us an email. Let's get you started on your real estate journey. I'd like to help you on the way. Lots of experience here, and I would like to put it to work for you. Andy Prasky, Remax Advantage Plus. Thanks for listening to the show.
Andy, how much experience?
I don't know. I can't.
How many years has it been?
23.
23.
I was told, though, it doesn't matter if you're over 15. The impact is zero to say. And actually, when you start saying it's over 20, people start, like when you say 30, people start going, oh, is he too old? Right?
32. 32. And they would be right. He is too old. But I'll tell you what,
I'm too old.
I totally disagree with that statement. I've learned a ton after being 15 years in the business.
Yeah.
So.
Well, I think, yeah, funny. And the other thing, Chris, is like, what I'd say about yourself is that you're still active. You're still doing purchases, you're doing flips, you're doing whatever on your own. So it's like you're probably the most relevant option for people that are looking for stuff like that. So it's like, to me, it's like I would want somebody that's in the game, and that's the difference. There are, going back to real estate agents for just a second. There's a lot of real estate agents that preach, and this is what you need to do, and this is how you do it, and they don't actually do any real estate themselves. I'm a little bit scared of those agents because they're going off of hearsay. They've never been in the trenches. They've never actually worked with a client in a situation like, some of the things happening today. And so why would you hire somebody that, I don't know, pawns you off, if you will, right? So I look at it like, hey, agents that are owner operators and they're actually still out there performing, right? Being a producing team leader or whatever you want to call it, that's different. I don't know.
I just had a conversation like that yesterday, Andy, with an agent, kind of a beginning agent, first year, 2 years in the business. And we're just talking about a bunch of different things, trying to kind of get some experience out of me to kind of lend to them to be able to use on their clients. Mm-hmm. And it is interesting from someone who probably hasn't sold that many houses or maybe just got into home ownership, to be able to tell people what it's like and to be really be able to counsel them, or, hey, this is a good investment, it's not a good investment. It's kind of like, how would you possibly even know if it is or isn't? You've never done it, kind of thing. So I think that's it is hard for beginning agents. And I think sometimes what you got to do from a beginner is you got to talk to the people that have been doing it for a long time. Try to learn from them and try to take something from that and offer that to your clients from maybe a third person perspective versus like what you do, because everyone wants to be like, I'm super smart. Why can't you just say, you know what, I have another client and this is what they do, and they've bought multiple rental properties and done this, and they say this, versus, hey, you're stupid, you don't know what you're doing, and you think it's a bad idea to be able to invest, and you look at me like, hey, how does this kid even know anything? Put it on to somebody else, and then it kind of makes a little more sense.
Yeah, everybody adds value. You just need to be able to demonstrate that value. So as a new agent, is your value that you can be undisturbed and completely dedicated to their best interests and have a plethora of resources to go tap into when anything comes their way? And I also say with a new agent, they cannot fail, because you can't have your first client be a failure. You have to have success stories, right? So you essentially, I'm not afraid of new agents if they have the right resources around them and the right, commitment, if you will. And then there's, obviously everything in between, but
it's hard. It's very hard for a new agent to break into this business. It was very hard for me. And I had my mom and dad in the business, to be able to help me along. And it's just it's not easy, because people don't want to just put their greatest investment in anyone's hands. They gotta put someone in charge that kind of can help them and navigate through it. We can all find stuff on the internet, but it's, how is that applied? That information that you see on the internet, how do you apply it to a negotiation strategy? How to set your house up for sale? How to create value? on your property. There's a lot of different things. What makes my house better than the other houses? You have to go look at houses to know that stuff.
True.
So anyways,
I'm glad you got that off your chest, Chris.
I know. I'm moving. So, all right. What do we do? Do we talk about everything?
You see the banner? Who is the largest landowner in Minnesota? I'm curious to see if you guys can get this.
I bet I would guess. You want me to guess, or how do you want to do this?
Governor Walz.
I would say Potlatch. The
Potlatch?
Potlatch or Louisiana Pacific lumber companies.
Oh.
They make up in northern Minnesota. They make that LP Smart Side out of all that poplar and aspen and whatever. And there's a ton of companies that make chipboard up there or OSB.
There's a Genio Turkey. How about them? No. Oh, the Mulpus Woodlands Group. Wow. 286,000. Timber Supply, Andrew.
Yep.
Good boy. Their site says they'll work with individual Northers. Wow. 286,000 acres.
That's not bad.
Now I gotta Google something. How many acres in Minnesota? What do we got? How much do you guys think we got? How many acres do you think we have?
Oh man, I wouldn't even know how to guess that.
Yeah, I don't either. Acres operated.
It'd be by the section. It'd be like thousands of sections, I would assume.
Yeah.
And a section, what is it? A section is a 540.
Can you imagine 286,000 acres though?
You want to live by yourself, that's what you buy. You live right in the middle.
Yeah, exactly. Huh. Interesting.
Though, if you go out west and you head out to there was years ago when I was right out of college, worked for a lumber wholesaler, and they sent us out to see the Pacific Lumber Company, also known as Palco. And we flew out there. We were up in Eureka, California, and they owned millions of acres of land of redwood forests and everything else. And it was interesting how these guys, they had their own town because where they had all these workers, they had no way to. They had their own general stores, they had their own medical center, they had their own grocery stores, they had their own insurance companies, and you could use their money. So back in the day, talk about Bitcoin, these guys had Palco dollars, and you'd earn Palco dollars, you could go spend them at the Palco stores, and you'd buy their goods, and there was all this exchange happening without taxation. It was kind of the best barter system I've ever seen. And anyway.
Hey Andy, did you see FTX collapsed, the second largest exchange? Yeah, wow. This guy he was like the golden boy, and they lost. He was worth $20 billion, and now he's worth nothing. After one day, insolvent. Yeah, supposedly he ran off with a lot of it, and there's a lot of drama going on. But one of the biggest exchanges that was on MLB umpires' jersey or the stuff they wear. They had their thing on there. FTX Arena is Miami Heat's arena. They were huge, and they just went overnight.
You would have think those guys would have diversified a little bit,
Yeah.
Hey, just so you guys know, that company that owns all that land in Minnesota, that's more land than we have parkland in Minnesota, and we have a ton of parkland. Just saying.
How old is that company?
Wait a minute. We have more profit land than we have.
There's 239,000 acres of state parks and rec areas in Minnesota. And that guy owns 286,000. That company owns 286,000 acres.
What is their is it like some of the bigger lumber brands we've heard before? Who did they have? What brands do they own? Like Weyerhaeuser, Potlatch? I mean, you know what I mean?
Right. Yeah. No idea.
They must be like a capital collective, and then they own a bunch of conglomerates or whatever you call that. Interesting stuff, though, guys. I mean, you will see I always have my ears open, and they'll have these auctions in northern Minnesota where it'll be 80 acres of prime forest, and they're selling it, but it's landlocked, and you have to go over a river and through the woods to get there, and it's you need to attain easements and things like that to get your own land. And it's it just blows my mind. It's I don't know.
Yeah.
Be fun for hunting land, though. You know what I mean?
Do you know how many acres of state forest we have?
No, I don't, Dad.
3,169,000.
Wow.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's
See,
super.
see, look what your little question did, Nick. We're just getting super smart now.
That's a good thing to tell buyers, or sellers. Just a fun fact. We have 3
Andy
million.
loves his numbers.
Yeah.
I know, but I'm full right now. I don't have any room for stuff like this, so I'm at capacity.
I got some fun. I got some fun stuff coming up here. So let's do another commercial. Chris Rooney, Home Experts.
I was just 1 year old when my family started in real estate, where both my parents were agents. They also dabbled in investing in real estate, rentals, flips, and construction. After college, I went right into getting my license in July of 1990. As a 23-year-old agent in an industry that looks nothing like today, I had to know more for my clients to choose me. There wasn't Zillow or social media to tell them how good I was. I had to win them over with knowledge. With knowledge comes confidence, and with confidence comes results. I found
This is good. Oh, that was funny. Do that again. We'll read it. It's just a little kid looking very. When your friend starts driving at 150 miles an hour and says, "I should have sold, bro," he's probably lost quite a bit of money because he didn't take advantage of that crazy market.
That's that guy that's on the internet, though. He's not a kid. He's actually an adult.
He's like 19. Yeah.
Yeah, and he slaps all these like professional wrestlers in the face and stuff, and like because people think he's a little kid, so he walks up to people and just smacks them. And isn't he Hungarian or something like that, Nick?
Show that again.
He's from some like village in Russia, like on the outskirts.
Okay. Yeah, there you go. Yeah.
That kid's 19 years old.
Yes.
Yes.
He hangs out. They show him in nightclubs drinking martinis and stuff, smoking cigars. Swear to God.
I've never seen this kid.
You will now.
Oh my gosh. Oh, jeez. All right. Things to ask yourself before getting your real estate license. Are you good at talking to people? Do you enjoy roller coasters? What's your favorite liquor? That is good. I'll tell you what, I think this is what I believe is that I've seen a lot of realtors come from a lot of different backgrounds, big, tall, small, short, whatever. And where I have felt that I've seen the people that have, I don't know, kind of the skills are people that were in the service industry, like a bartender or a waitress, or, did some sort of customer service type things. I just think they have if you think about it, I was a bartender and a waiter, and if I didn't attract many different people, I wasn't going to get tipped very well. So you had to learn how to deal with different people. And even though you don't typically work with a lot of people that aren't like you, because you typically attract each other, but on the other side of the transaction, you will. And you have to be able to get along with those people because you're the conduit, between your client and, say, the seller or the buyer. And the way you act and, put yourself out there is what they're going to think of your client. So you got to do right by them.
True.
Just a truth.
Bank of America is giving out loans right now with 0 down payment, 0 closing costs, and no mortgage insurance. That means people are going to be able to buy houses with no money and have cheaper mortgages. And a lot of people think that this is only for African Americans and Hispanics, but it's not. It's actually for Hispanic and African American communities. And this is a great opportunity for first-time buyers to purchase a home. So if you want to learn more about how to buy a house with 0 down payment, read the description below and share this with your friends.
Haven't heard of that one.
I didn't know that they had a gate into these communities. I didn't know where they are.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It drives me crazy when these big corporations sit there and do things and say things like this. So they must have maps and like, if you buy in this community, insult me a little more.
Hey, remember those maps we saw in Minneapolis about those communities that couldn't have any of those types of people in there? I mean, it's the same thing. It's just opposite. It's just so dumb. I don't know why we have to do this stuff. So
Yeah, it is a.
That's the
it is
same.
an
That's the
interesting-
same program we talked about with the lender like 2 months
that's what I
ago.
thought. Yeah.
It's getting popular now. People are doing videos on it and everything.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I mean, if I guess I just don't know where is there a magazine somewhere we can go and find these neighborhoods, or and it's like, and why does just those neighborhoods need help right now? The whole economy, the whole housing market right now could use inventory. You know what I'm saying? And it's like it blows my mind.
But then again, Andy, the USDA loans are for certain communities as well. I mean, on the outlying areas, to be able to encourage people to move out of the is it 13 county metro area?
Correct.
It's actually no, it's not. It's really because I mean, at the end of Jordan, I think Belle Plaine is good. What up by you? I mean,
Well,
you're not far out.
it dips into parts of like Zimmerman, Princeton,
Yeah.
Cambridge. It is there. It's just you can read it online. You can see where it is. But the idea is they want you to move out to a rural area to basically help. I think it's the tax base where you're not producing anything there. They don't want you to have a pole barn. They won't finance a house with a pole barn. They want you to buy a residential property like with 1 or 2 acres in the middle of nowhere. And then you become a taxpayer in that area to keep the tax base going, I believe. I don't know the exact behind the rules, but it's about the only thing I could make up in my head that would make sense.
Well, I was going to say too, there's there must be a maximum loan amount as well. So that means are you sure about that you can't have a pole barn or it's on acreage? Oh wow.
Unless that just changed. Up until like last year, it was the property could not have a barn on it.
Wow, I did not know that.
Yep.
Loan.
Note to self.
Thank goodness for Andy. Thank you, Andy.
The fine print reader here, I guess.
Yeah.
Which is normally not my thing.
Okay. What else?
I can't believe I have a fucking Academy Award and I'm calling you back again and again and again, you cocksucker. Send me the check. Hey, Vince, it's Matt. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, buddy. That was really out of line, and I didn't mean that. I'm just a little tired, man, and I'm sorry.
Oh my gosh.
I think that there's something to say about that. I'll tell you.
I'm an Academy Award winner. You blankety blank. Send me my check.
Yeah, I think that is the thing, though. People, I mean, unfortunately, a lot of people do live check to check, and they need that money. And but on the other half, you got to kind of think about realtors as well. I mean, they don't get paid until everything's done, and then at the end they get paid. Now, obviously, we get paid a percentage, and we probably get paid more because we're willing to wait and take that chance than we would if people were just kind of paying us up front. So,
well, but like in good times, Chris, you and I that have been around this block a couple times, you may have 5-6 closings in 1 month, and the next month you don't have any. And so what you learn to do is put all your money into a pot, forget it's there, and then you pull a salary every month. And so you don't live and die per paycheck. Now that's something that takes dedication and focus to get to that point. But just like any other business owner, that's what you eventually have to get your reserves up. And I think that's what a lot of agents lack is their first paycheck, they buy a BMW. Their second paycheck, they want to go buy $1 million house. And then all of a sudden they start getting paychecks in and they're like, ruh-roh, So.
Oh, true.
Okay, this is a 2-part meme right here. So I'm going to show you the first one. When you're done with it, I'm going to show you the second one, then respond.
The real estate industry, 33 companies have laid off at least 50 people. 24 companies have laid off at least 100 people. 13 have laid off at least 250. 4 companies have laid off at least 1,000 people. Winter's coming. Winter is here. Okay. If you see Doomer Real Estate posted, you bought yours in the last 2 years, don't freak out. You're not playing roulette. Real estate's about surviving short-term market conditions for long-term rewards. Hallelujah.
Yeah.
That's very, very true. And it's what we were talking about from the beginning, which kind of got me all riled up and going. Um, it is. I mean, not only did the market slow down, the interest rates went up, but winter, winter market, if you're in Minnesota, winter market's here,
But
and it's
what I was
typically a
gonna
slower market.
let me just remind everybody this: in June, when rates jumped, the world was on fire. I mean, we'd list a house and go 50,000 over, 7 offers. Those people are still there, Chris. There's still a lot of them are still making the same paychecks they were making then. They're choosing to sit on the sidelines because rates went up. Oh my God, calm down. Rates went up and it cooled the market down. And it's like, holy crap. I mean, you look at these people that are out there, it's not as bad. I mean, if rates drop back down to 3%, what would happen? Oh my God, the market's great. Oh, look at, and then all the politicians take credit for it. It's like, okay, they went too fast, too high, too fast, right? They more than doubled. Now, granted, historically, they're still at a historical fair rate, but it's like everybody that has a memory, which we all do, is looking back saying, hey, what happened to 3%? What do you mean 7%? And then now they're bragging on the news that, hey, they're back down in the 6s. And it's like, their payments are almost double for the same house. So a lot of those people that had these, their jets and full throttled back a little bit. So the demand on some houses is less. But here's what's crazy. I'm telling you, when you read the charts, and this is what you have to do, is look at the facts. Don't look at the fluff. Look at the facts. There are still not enough houses for sale to fulfill all the people that need houses, period. They're choosing not to buy. They're waiting for interest rates to come down. They're waiting for doomsday to kick in. And what's happening is like all this propaganda we've just talked about is all based on real estate agents and a lack of money management. Has nothing to do with the real estate industry, like the actual houses that are selling, right? It's all about mismanagement of our funds, if you will, which doesn't shock anybody.
Yeah. And I think in a way, I mean, I look at Twitter and now Amazon, and they're laying off tons of people. Hey, maybe there's a lot of other jobs out there that need to be taken. Maybe this is a way in which to do it, but I think people are going to have to get used to. They're not going to get paid the same as what they were for sitting around and doing nothing in their basement. It's just not gonna happen. You got to get out there and work again.
So how many of these restaurants are going to have to close before people realize, oh my God, the $18 cheeseburgers aren't a hot ticket, it's people's lifestyles have gotten accustomed to it. We used to be able to afford it. It was not a big deal to go out once. I remember when I was a kid, we were lucky if we get pizza on Friday nights, brought in from Little Caesars or the local pizza shop, and that was a treat for us. We never went out to eat. I mean, honestly, and nowadays families go out to eat 3, 4, 5 times a week sometimes, and it's like it's just. And
your parents weren't realtors. We went to Mr. Steak almost every night. We'd go there and we had it all. It was all set up, and I don't know if we got like kids' meals were super just like nothing or something, but we were always on the run, and Mr. Steak was our spot.
That's awesome.
Do you remember Mr. Steak?
We had a Mr. Steak in Brooklyn Park.
Did you?
For years,
Yeah.
and then they turned it into Blondie's, and then that I remember disappeared somehow. But
yeah, have you seen up in your area restaurants closing down?
No,
no. You see them less hours though?
Yeah, yes, there was, and I remember in Alexandria, I more than one time got frustrated with Dairy Queen because I would literally I'm a good boy. I go fishing all day long. I'm drinking my little LaCroix waters. Everybody else is having a party. And I'm like, you know what? I've been a good guy today. I'm going to go buy myself a little ice cream treat. And I jump in the old truck after the pontoon sunset cruise. It's about 9:30, and I go, okay, they're open till 10. So it's a 20-minute ride. I got a half hour. I drive over there, follow the rules. Sometimes I have a couple kids come with me because I'm that guy. I like to buy ice cream. And we get to the old Dairy Queen, and by God, they closed at 8. I'm like, in the middle of the summer, you're closing at 8 at night, and they say, we don't have employees. I go, but you did to get you to 8 o'clock. Why wouldn't you stay open until 10? So then I go to the other Dairy Queen on the other side of town that doesn't open up until 2:30 in the afternoon. They got their heads on straight. They actually don't open for lunch. They do the early afternoon to eat late evening till 10 o'clock, and then they'll stay open. they don't shut the sign off on you when you're sitting in the drive-thru like some of these places will. They're like, "Hey, man, we're worn out. We've worked 4 hours. Lights out," and they'll shut it off, and you're like, "You got to be kidding me." That's socialism, man. That's like you go to. I've heard that happens like in New Zealand. Like it'll be t-shirt shopping after dinner, and all the t-shirt shops are like, "Get out, we're closing. It's 8:00." And I had a buddy that visited over there, and they literally will kick a paying customer. They'll kick out of their store because it doesn't matter anyway. Taxes are so high. If we get up to a certain point, it's not worth collecting it anyway. So they kick everybody out of their stores. Wow, that was a lot. Sorry about that.
Speaking about this, and we were talking about like all the clickbait and everyone, the dooms and the quick memes, and this video, this next one, and maybe we should start doing some of this content. This got about 1 million views, and it's quite easy to do. It's a real estate agent here, and check it.
That's it.
I think I officially, is it today? I'm going to mark in my books that I hate our industry.
Hey, we could just make fun of it, Andy.
Man,
that would be
that's what America wants, and to get 1 million views.
Well, Andy, you were just talking about like no one wants to work. They're shutting down, but this is quick content, 5 seconds, boom, boom, boom.
That's true. You're right. Yep.
It's kind of where we're headed.
No one wants to listen to Andy's analogies, or do they want to just hear Andy's analogies? Which one?
Wait, you don't want to listen to 2 middle-aged guys talk for an hour about real business?
Exactly. I know. I don't know what's wrong with people.
Shocker. Where's the alarm? Beep, beep.
Maybe we have to talk about Dairy Queen more often.
Hey, should be a great sponsor of the show.
True.
No, it is like a little hug every scoop, but come on.
I think I have some ideas.
Nothing?
No,
I think I have some ideas. I really do.
Good. Well, until then, let's keep helping people. So here's someone that needs some help from Reddit. And it's kind of long, but here's the story.
Oh, boy. All right. My grandma passed. She put in her will for me to do her eulogy before doing so. Because of this, my grandfather has given me first dibs on her land because he feels she obviously trusted me over my 40 or so cousins. So he's offering me 13 acres in Alabama for $2,500 an acre. Has road access and already had a home with everything hooked up to it at one point. Right now, it's covered with timber that he says it's ready to be cut. To complicate matters, a local real estate tycoon from the area caught wind of the land potentially going up for sale. People watch obituaries, just so you know, and offered to drive to my grandfather a few states away this very weekend to pay cash for the acres straight up. When I told my brother, he asked if he could go in half with me. All this makes it think it's a worthy investment, even though I live a few states away. I have the money ready to go, but can't decide. Do you think it's a worthy long-term investment? 100%. But just get ready for the backlash from brothers, cousins, uncles, aunts, grandchildren, and everybody else. Because you got it, no one else did.
Well, but you know what? Boo-hoo. Then you maybe should have took care of your grandma.
Yeah,
right? I mean, no offense.
It's not worth it, Andy.
I'm not trying to be a jerk, but that grandmother had the ability to choose what she wanted to do, and she rewarded those that rewarded her. And I don't blame her. I think that's
actually she didn't. She picked him to do the eulogy, but she never said to sell him the acreage. The grandpa felt that. So the grandpa might take that.
Hey, Chris, just so you know, if you do the math, I did the old calculator here.
Oh, good.
It was $32,500.
It's nothing.
Ooh.
Yeah.
I mean, the timber's probably worth more than that. On 13 acres, you could probably pull a couple thousand an acre or more just off the timber if it's good timber.
So to me, then, if it's only 32.5, why would you want to? Because it doesn't matter what the amount of money is. It's that you got it and they didn't. And when that happens, it's just not worth it. I mean, for $32,
you get $800. What is it? $800 per kid. something like that. If you split it up amongst everybody.
Take the cash deal from someone else, try to list it, make more, and give it to grandpa and let him enjoy his life. That's what I say.
You're a good kid. I think I'm going to put you in my will.
I know. Money does not drive me, Mr. Prasky.
Huh.
What about keeping like your land in the family instead of just selling out to some real estate tycoon?
Yeah.
I mean, isn't that important too?
Well, it's 13 acres. I mean, if I bought it, I'd build on it and probably live on it if it's, assuming it's buildable.
I think that's a great idea. I think that's a great idea to tell them, hey, let's just keep it for our whole family. Let's all pitch in. It's somewhere to go and remember and put up a tree house.
After I clear cut it, we'll plant a tree for grandma. That you can all come water.
Yeah, you can probably get enough. You got to call that little potlatch family up in Minnesota.
Yeah, the last thing was potlatch.
Yeah. Add another 13 acres on that 286,000.
Now that would be an inheritance that would be worth fighting for.
Yeah, that's true. Forget your cousins then. Totally agree.
Yeah.
But have you guys dealt with that though, especially with all the development in the last 20, 30 years, all the farmland, people going crazy at each other?
Oh God, yeah.
It's not worth it. I've talked to people after it's been done for a while. It's not worth it. Some kid gets more than the other kid. It's just not worth it.
We used to get a lot of referrals off the WCCO. We'd have a lot of people that would have estates, and they would call us and say, "Hey, how do we give this to our kids without paying taxes? Or how do we, live there forever, have it, life estate? Or how do we have?" And so we used to have a lot of really good, listeners back then that were great. And Chris would just say, "Andy, you help these people." Well, the people that we would help, I mean, there were times where there was 4 siblings that wanted to fight each other, and the one sibling would want to buy it and own it. The other 3 wanted to sell it for a profit because they don't want it to sell cheap to the brother. And I mean, I had one family had 12 kids, and it got to the point of where I said, "Listen, when we have these meetings with literally 12 people, it's absolute chaos. They take 6 hours. You guys spend more time talking about the last Christmas you had fun together, and you don't talk about the business." So I would say my best advice to somebody that has a family with multiple kids and there's more than one inheritance is to literally vote in a representative that represents the group. And that representative has control, has the majority of can make the decisions, can pull the trigger. And you literally go to the extent of where you give them signing power, where they can even hire the listing agent and communicate directly with them. Now, on the other hand, I've seen where a lot of families are like, "Well, we just don't have anybody we can assign." I've seen where the family of 12 had 3 people, and then it was kind of a majority that they would have. But every situation, I've always said, to like the family estate planning, whatever, they a lot of times will do more than one appraisal. Sometimes they'll do as many as 3 appraisals if it's a more significant property. And then they'll take the middle appraisal and they'll offer it to anybody in the family at that middle appraised price first, and before they get anybody else involved. And that's the fairest way to do it. And then, the brother that's always been the screw up and he's finally getting on his feet, but doesn't have good credit. They want to buy it, but they can't, right? And owning with 12 other people, Chris, you know how this works. You all inherit that property together. Your credit's only as good as the worst credit on out of the group. So if one brother's filing bankruptcy and getting liens and judgments put against it because he's in trouble financially, and you're an A paper, cash only kind of person, that property can have a lot of issues. So you're better off to get rid of the property as fast as possible or protect it in some kind of a trust where the trust is encapsulated but I'm telling you, then your kids, maybe you have it for another 20 years, but then your kids are going to have kids. And then all of a sudden there's another 40 people fighting over the same thing. So it's like, you kind of got to decide, is it better off, just like you said, Chris, to sell it, cut bait and leave and give everybody their inheritance off of it and have one last big, family reunion out at the lake and then sell it or what? But
I think what would be a really smart thing is for elderly people to talk to the people that are going to inherit it and come up with a plan before they pass away. Put that in writing and then do it, because there's another weird thing. It's not always brother and sister that's fighting over it. It's spouses that become involved in stuff that, not even related to them, but become a problem. And so I think it's really easy. I mean, after all of the ones that I've done a lot.
Yeah. Me too.
It's the way that works out the best. It's just talk about it, come up with a plan, whatever it is, and then go.
Well, and it's amazing to me how many times I've had where it's a $400,000 property value, and everybody wants it, but nobody wants to pay for it. So you know what I mean? And it's kind of funny because what you don't realize is like when you pay 400, but there's 4 other people, you get your share of that back. So it's almost like you're getting it at a discount. You're getting, if there's a $400,000 property, 4 people, you're actually going to pay $300,000 for that property in theory. And so you're buying it at a discount. And then, if that's even at a very fair price and you live there, own it for 5-6 years, you sell it, the appreciation is all yours. Your brothers and sisters or whoever are all out of it now. And so it is a very interesting, situation to be in for sure.
Let's do something different. We do list this home. How about we list foreclosures?
Oh,
gosh. That's kind of interesting. How would you sell these? I see a couple here in Minnesota. Let me pop this thing up. All right, who wants to go first?
Andy.
Sure. Let's go.
Yes. Okay. I'll give you one right down here.
Ooh.
Inver.
Well, nice. Looks like is that a townhouse or is that a single family?
Looks like a townhouse, condo. Yeah.
Okay. And you know this is a foreclosure, you said?
Yep. This is on Zillow Foreclosures, Minnesota.
Okay. So, here's an opportunity to put yourself into a newer house in a nice area, great schools. You're in an association, so you can have the busy lifestyle and not have to deal with all of the maintenance and things that come with owning a home. And usually a foreclosure will represent a very fair price. Looks like it's already been cleaned and it's ready for you to move in. And looks like it's right about at market value, which is great because that's what people are offering right now. And so you're not overpaying. There you go. Just make sure to buy title insurance.
Andy, isn't that interesting that a foreclosure has like appliances and lighting fixtures and everything?
Right. Well, now commercial over. Banks aren't selling anything at a loss anymore, guys. Foreclosures mean you're going to pay full retail. So the banks go in and they actually renovate the houses that they do get back, and they know there's money to be made. So they've learned that lesson that they don't liquidate. So what we learned in the old days is that, hey, foreclosure, just like the dog when the dinner bell rings and they run for so everybody runs for these foreclosures, but they're not deals anymore. Where they're deals is when you're buying them before they're foreclosed on. So you're buying the bank notes. That's the new, thing to do. And you buy the bank notes and you buy those at a discount. So, but what's interesting is that bank has already started the process, but it costs $40,000 to $50,000 sometimes in legal fees to truly evict and kick somebody out of that house and do that whole process. So the money that you're saving, I don't know if you're saving anything.
Yeah.
Who do they pay who handles that rehab? Like who pays the contractors? Who does all that job? They have good people that do that to flip it?
The bank does. I mean, but you got to remember though, there still is, disproportionately a very, very, very small amount of foreclosures.
So they hire guys like Andy?
Yeah, that's what Andy used to. I mean, when he'd get all those foreclosures, he'd be responsible to get all that work ready and done.
There were so yes, different banks would have, us actually as a real estate agent, they give us the listing, but they also had us as a project manager controlling the clean out, the eviction, if there's police involved or whatever. And it was a very drawn out, lengthy process to make a commission, but it was better than nothing.
Well, and you had to pay for it too, right?
Oh yeah, I was at one time I laughed because I remember Garth Johnson, we were in studio together and I said, God, I'm paying the utility bills on like 50 properties right now. So great, 50 listings, right? Yay. And Garth comes in and goes, I'm paying it on 600.
Yeah.
I was like, oh my golly.
Before it even goes to the market, you have all these things sitting out there before it even gets to the market that you're watching and paying for and taking care of. Now you're getting reimbursed, but I mean, you have to have a lot of money to be able to handle that.
Hey, they're still rolling. You're $60,000, $70,000, $80,000 a month worth of utilities. Yeah. And what's crazy too, Chris, is this. Utilities are the individual, not the actual property. So let's say that I sat there for years trying to clean up all these utility bills where they'd keep sending me a $13 bill, and I'd send them a $13 check, and they'd say, well, you still owe us another $1. And then you don't even turn that in because you're like, I'm not going to turn that into expenses. I'll just pay it, whatever. And all of a sudden you're going, that's hundreds of dollars a month for years catching up on all these utility bills. So now I believe most of the banks, they used to have national contracting companies too that they would work with, where the contractor would come in, perform the work, do the clean outs, do everything, and then they would assign the agent at the time of where it's ready to retail list it. Anyway.
All right, Chris, you ready? So you're going to sell this foreclosure. Yeah, we'll give you Burnsville.
Do not give him an easy one. You gave me South St. Paul, for Christ's sakes. You need to put him up in like
Invergrove Heights.
No, Cambridge or something.
Put me up in Champlin somewhere.
There's no foreclosures in Champlin. We don't allow it.
Oh, Columbia Heights. Who wouldn't want Columbia Heights? What a beautiful area with this nice little 2-bedroom, 2-bath walkout Rambler, ability to finish the basement and earn extra, even additional equity. Their loss is your gain. Get in there. What a great rental. I mean, rentals are, oh, look at that. I mean, just a little extra paint. Maybe get a countertop there. Well, you gave me a really doozy here. But here's a good example of a foreclosure that needs a little work. So a handyman special. Let's do it. I mean, you take that. That must be in the basement. It says that the basement isn't finished, or maybe it is. It only says 1,240 square feet. Yeah, that's a good one. I think investors get out there and look at it, and you can even do a disco room right there. That red carpet, the Elvis room, that's in.
Can I make a quick observation? Looking at all the staining on the walls coming out of the vents and everything, I guarantee that's a smoker's house. You bet. And that whole house just stinks.
That might be a really good one to really just take all the sheetrock and everything down and see if you can open it up and try to do something a little better.
We used to take those houses and we'd literally pull up all the carpet, they'd clean out the vents, and then they'd kills paint, because it's oil based, so it has a vapor barrier on it, and they would spray ceilings and walls and everything, and it still sometimes wouldn't take it out of there. It'd still be into the woodwork, and I mean, it's unbelievable. We'd spend $7,000-8,000 a house when somebody's a smoker in a house, and that was back in 2008 and 9, just to get rid of it. We'd also use ozone machines, which I know a lot of people don't recognize, but ozone machines work fantastic with smoke. They come in there and it's kind of like a fumigation of a bug thing, and they just zap it with ozone, and these machines just basically kill the bacteria, I think, that causes the smells, and it's pretty cool.
Is that just for wood homes? Because like in Italy, they built it with, non-wood materials, and it doesn't, all these smokers, their places don't smell. Everyone smokes inside in Italy.
I have no idea. Plaster maybe, and maybe it's
plaster versus sheetrock, right?
Yeah.
Could be.
They don't usually have carpet either, do they, Nick?
No, not really. Yeah, tile, that kind of stuff.
Yeah. That carpet, it's just like hair. You go to a Mexican restaurant, you come home and you smell like you're at a Mexican restaurant or Subway. Same thing. It's the same thing with smoke. Carpet, hair, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
All right, last thing here. We got someone that kind of wants to cut out the real estate agent. What would be your answer to this?
Okay.
I'm working with a real estate agent to prep my house. It's not listed, but my neighbor found out and wants to buy it off market. I found out he actually bid for the house when I bought it, so he's serious.
Good for
What
you.
are you gonna do with that person?
Yeah, what do you recommend? They ask, it cut off.
From which perspective?
Here we go. Should I take this private and work with him?
Or keep my agent as part of the process? 100% keep your agent part of the process. Maybe just ask your agent if they would pay them for that buyer, and they would just handle the listing part of it. I'm telling you, I mean, I was just watching a show last night on Netflix where these 4 people, Redfin CEO, a professional football player, these 4 investors are there, and their people are coming in to try to sell their house. Every single one, every time they talk to that buyer, they said, well, remember, you're not getting any commissions, so we should get it for less. That's exactly what everyone thinks, is that if you just get them over that and say you have an agent, they don't even talk about that stuff anymore. Now you can probably get more than you would have, because I mean, the buyer wants to save the 6%. The seller wants to, say, hey, since I'm not paying a commission, I'm going to make more. And it's a fight. It's so silly.
No, I've even done that too, where I've just told people, I said, listen, I'm not even involved. All I'm doing is paperwork. I'll do it for 1% or a minimum of $1,500. And I'll come out there and help write up the deal and, put everything together for you and, cross the T's, dot the I's. Because if I'm not doing marketing, I'm not, dipping into my expertise to help you sell the property. I understand. I don't need to give you all of my facility, full plethora of business. And so I do deals all the time from an admin level.
Don't cut the agent out.
Well, I wouldn't, but I mean, like Chris is saying, I mean, this is where I always tell people, you got to remember karma's, I think, a real thing. If you're using somebody, like when people would refi years ago, they'd, call a real estate agent. The banks would tell them this and give us a rough estimate as to what you think your house is worth to see if we can get rid of your mortgage insurance and we can refi your house. And I'm like, those real estate agents do it for free because they're trying to earn your business. But at the end of the day, if you're really not using, I mean, throw them $100 and just say, hey, I'm not ever going to use you. I'm just trying to refi my house. Here's a $100 gift card to Target. Thanks for your time. Most agents would still do it just to, get the opportunity to meet you and be their go-to. But on the other hand, it's like, I look at some of these people, helping them prep their house, helping them do whatever, using all their expertise. That's where a good real estate agent would have done what first, Chris?
Get it signed.
Yeah. You would have signed an arrangement with them up front saying, hey, before I give you all of my expertise and all my resources, we're gonna develop a relationship first and define it up front.
Beautiful. All right, for all you loyal listeners, make sure to give us some likes or write us some reviews on iTunes, Spotify. We know you listen, but we want to see it. Remember, we post 3 digestible clips each week on the Facebook and YouTube. Send us in your questions, and we'll see you next week. All right, guys?
See ya.
Thanks for joining us this week on the Real Estate Radio Hour. Don't forget to visit our website, realestateradiohour.com, where you can subscribe to the show on iTunes, Spotify, Stitcher, or your preferred podcast listening app. If you enjoyed today's episode, we'd appreciate a rating on iTunes or sharing us with a friend. Until next time, stay awesome, Twin Cities.